Welcome back, puppies, to Barking Dog's miniature painting video. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on Facebook, and you can support us on Patreon. Okay, for today we're going to be painting up a red tiefling. We're going to be using some Entrail Pink from MSP, which is from Reaper Miniatures. And for creating a highlight, we're going to be mixing in some Tusk Ivory from the same paint line. Here I'm just mixing in some airbrush thinner with our base coat, which is the Entrail Pink. Now we've chosen this color because we want a red demon skin, but we don't want something that's a bright natural red, something you might expect if you were to say paint up a red dragon. So as you see, the miniature's already been zenithal primed, and as I'm establishing the base coat here, it's still going to come out darker because of our zenithal prime, where I'm painting in the recesses there in the shaded areas. But later on we're going to come back and exaggerate those shaded areas and make them even darker. It's important to know important to at least think of as we add layers of paint, what's actually happening is the light's passing through the paint and reflecting back off of the primer. Now you can get into some really dense, opaque paints, but we're not using any of those here, and we don't really want to because it's just easier on us, and I'll say even a little bit more fun if we just take our time and really utilize thin layers and layer up our highlights and even come back and re-establish our shadows when we need to. Now there you can see me using the back of my hand occasionally to help establish the color, make sure it's where I want it before I start hitting the model with it. The model's from Redbox Games, if I hadn't already mentioned that. So here you're looking at a ratio of probably 3 parts pink to 1 part of the Tusk Ivory. Just enough to kind of offset it so it's just a little bit lighter than the initial base coat. Now here we're looking at a closer to a 50-50 ratio. I think it's actually probably three parts of the Entrail Pink to 2 parts of the Tusk Ivory. Now here, where I'm checking this out, this is more of a 50-50 mix. Might even have just a slight bit more of the Tusk Ivory than the Entrail Pink. But for this, I'm only really spraying the very tops of the model, like the very tops of his back muscles there, and his shoulders and his arm. And here I'm actually going with a little bit lighter of a color. Again, you can see me establish it on the back of my hand. Here you're definitely looking at something that's probably 3 parts of the Ivory Tusk to 2 parts of the Entrail Pink. Now it still comes out as a very pink color because that pink or that red tone is very dominant, but it makes for a really good highlight. And again, for this, I'm even establishing it on an even more narrow range of the top of the model. And as you see, he's looking really good, but we're not done yet. We're going to re-establish some of our shaded areas, make some of the dark areas really dark. And we're going to do that with some more MSP paint. We're going to be using some clear purple. We're going to use it to darken up our Entrail Pink. A little bit of airbrush thinner. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to do about 1/3 as much of the clear purple. 1/3, about half. 1, 2, I know there's at least another drop or two that happened off camera there before I stopped it. Here we're just mixing it up good, a little bit of backflow. Mix it up with a little brush, make sure it's good and mixed together. And off camera there, I'm actually hitting the back of my hand again, just making sure that the color's the tone that I want before I start hitting the model. And here I'm being fairly liberal, but keep in mind we're just going after the shadowed areas, like his lower back. You see there, we pretty much have him established. The lower part of his leg there, under his arms, under his pectoral muscles that are very well defined. He's looking pretty good. But we're going to darken up some areas just a little bit more. And we're going to do that with just some straight clear purple in the gun. Now for this, I'm only hitting very specific targets. Targets that'll really just be shaded a lot. The very underneath side of his arm. I'm going to get the little nooks and crannies around his lower legs. Going to hit that region underneath his sword there, and again a little bit under his pectoral muscles. And then we're going to come back towards the end and just focus kind of getting underneath his chin there and that side of his face, because his head's got a slight tilt to it. Now for the next video, I'll be showing you how we're going to blend all of those transitions and make them look even better. If you like the work you saw in this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm available for commissions at facebook.com, Barking Dogs Miniature Painting. You can also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Barking Dog Studio. Patreon members get discounts on commissions and credit at the end of videos. Special thanks to the Clarks for their continued support. Bark on, puppies.